May God bless you. Technical issues with every event, am I right? So I'm going to go over a brief overview of the event today. We'll be proceeding with a short speech by our president, Muhammad Adi. After that, our imam will be giving a bit of a Islam 101. Following that, we'll have a collective Ottawa Mosque tour. So the Ottawa Mosque is actually Ottawa's oldest mosque, established in 1970. And it's actually Ontario's oldest mosque as well, and it's the third oldest mosque in Canada. So without further ado, could we please have our President Muhammad Adi?
First of all, thank you all for coming out today. Jazakumullah khair. I'd like to begin by welcome you to the Ottawa Muslim Association annual Islamic History Month event. Islamic History Month first established in October 2007 when it was introduced to Parliament by late Morel Boulanger. This month is meant to celebrate and recognize the contributions Muslims have made to Canadian society. We are incredibly honored to have everyone joining us today in honor of this important month. Muslims have called Canada their home since early 1800s. Many don't know the first registered Muslims immigrants on record existed in 1854. However, recent artifactual discovery provides a connection between the Muslim people and indigenous people long before the arrival of the European settlers. Today, we can say that there are over 1 million Muslim Canadians who are proud to call Canada their home. You will meet some of them today in our mosque, the oldest mosque in Ottawa and the third oldest mosque in all of Canada. Now, with over 1 million Muslims in Canada contributing in every field from hospitals, businesses, schools, and government. A few years ago, both the deans of Carleton University and Ottawa Universities were Muslim. Currently in Ottawa, there are over 100,000 Muslims with over 10 major Islamic centers supporting the community in every social aspect. This mosque is one of the oldest in Canada and the first in our capital region. As Canadian Muslims who proudly call Canada their home, we are proud for freedom, justice, human rights, and safety we enjoy. Many of us have chosen Canada as their home because of these values. It is a core value that Canada has the reputation to hold locally and internationally. As our Prime Minister said, a Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian. We must remind ourselves and our officials that a human is a human is a human. We are proud of Canada for applying its values on the Ukrainian conflict. Now we are looking for a similar Canadian humanitarian stand. We are shocked of the Canadian stand that is against every value we have as Canadians. We expect Canada, our home, to hold its values and core principles internationally on the Gaza genocide. Thank you all for coming and accepting our invitation. It is our pleasure to have you in the oldest mosque in Ottawa. And once again, Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you, your families, and beloved ones.
Thank you, Brother Muhammad. So without further ado, I'd like to invite our Imam, Muhammad Suleiman, to the stage, where he will be delivering a short presentation about the basics of Islam and what it is to be Muslim.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace and blessings be with all of us today. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Welcome to the Ottawa Mosque, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessings and peace be with all of us each and every day we live. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. And we hope that peace and the blessings will be also with our sisters and brothers in Palestine, in Gaza. Ameen. Sooner, inshallah ta'ala. So just a quick overview of main concepts about Islam and also things about Muslim Canadians. Bismillah. So let me ask you that question. What is Islam? Anyone can define Islam in a one sentence. What is Islam? Anyone? What do you have in mind about Islam? Anything. Hopefully it's not negative. Yes. Yes, it is the submission to the will of Allah, the Creator. This is a very good definition. Islam, actually, the word linguistically means peace and submission and commitment. All these words, they come from the root word Islam or Salima. So Islam is actually about peace, commitment, and worship. Then Islam as a religion, we know, some of us may think Islam as a religion started with Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in Mecca in the 6th and the 7th century, but this is totally wrong. Islam started way before that, with the first human to be created, Adam, our father Adam. He came to earth with his wife Eve, Hawa, and he was a Muslim. He is a prophet of God, the first creation of God, and he is a Muslim. He is submissive to God. And all the prophets come after, including Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, everyone in between, they are all Muslims because they all submitted themselves to Allah. So this is the general concept of Islam: submission and peace and commitment. The specific word Islam, when we talk about it nowadays, we mean the religion of Islam that we follow the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and specifically Islam of nowadays. Then we can also say, who is Allah? Allah is the equivalent of God or the God. In Arabic, the word Allah comes from ilah, a God or a Lord. So it's equal to the God. Muslims, irrespective of their language, color, culture, they call God Allah. You don't find quite often Muslims say God or Lord. Everybody, even if they don't speak the language, they say we worship Allah. And Allah is the God. Who is Muhammad? Anyone can give me a quick answer? Muhammad? The most known name all over the world. But can we summarize that in one sentence? Who is Muhammad? He is the last messenger. Okay. Anything else? Where did Muhammad come? What is his home city? Mecca. Where is Mecca? Saudi Arabia. Okay. So Muhammad, he came in Mecca, Saudi Arabia, but did he come just for the Meccan people or the Arabian people? No, he was sent to each and every one, to all humanity. Why? Because he was the last prophet. How many prophets came before Muhammad? A lot. According to the calculations of the scholars, 124,000 prophet and messenger came from God to humanity to guide them to the way of God. 124,000. The first of them is Adam, and the last of them is Muhammad. That's why Muhammad's message was an inclusive, conclusive message, because it is the last message coming from heaven to earth. So Muhammad is the prophet that we worship, that we follow, and Muhammad is the messenger who came last, and Muhammad is the one who comes with the conclusive and inclusive message. He started preaching Islam when he was 40 years old. This is a norm. Allah sends messengers when they become 40, He gives them the message. And 40 is considered the age of wisdom. The maximum maturity in humanity is 40. So Muhammad was given the message when he was 40. He stayed preaching Islam for 23 years only. You can imagine that. This is one of the shortest message that ever came from Allah to humanity. But it is the message that changed the whole humanity course, and it will continue changing and helping until the day of judgment. So it's only 23 years of preaching Islam. Then what is Quran? Another key word. Quran. Any definition? Yes. The word of Allah. Okay. Quran is the word of Allah that was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad through angel Jibril or Gabriel. So we read Quran. When we recite the Quran, we are actually in a state or a status of worshipping Allah. When we open the Quran and we start reading, we are worshipping Allah. Quran is coming, the word itself also, Quran from qara'a, from reading, recitation. And it was meant to be recited and to be read. And this is what Allah told the Prophet in the Quran in many occasions. Muslims believe that the Quran is the final revelation from Allah to humanity. So we believe that there is no other prophet coming, there is no other revelation coming after Sayyidina Muhammad and after the Quran. What is hijab? One of the questions also that Muslims think, what is hijab? What do you know about hijab, this word? It's a very famous one. Anyone can describe it? Hijab? Sisters? We use it, so we have to define it. Something simple. It's a scarf, it's a piece of cloth that we wear, the women, they wear to cover their heads, the hair and the ears and their necks also. And why do we do that? This is a very long answer, but we do it because we are Muslims. Allah commanded Muslim women to wear hijab in the Quran. And the Prophet also told us in his statements that each and every adult woman who reached the age of puberty, she should wear the hijab for protection and for many other things, for chastity, purity, and many other things. Okay. So we will go to some major beliefs in Islam. For Muslims, this is a refreshment. We revive and refresh our memory. And other sisters and brothers, this is something that you know about Islam. Major beliefs. These are core beliefs in Islam that each and every Muslim knows and they must fulfill. First, we have 5 pillars of Islam. 5 pillars. Meaning, if we take one of them out, there is no Islam. If I believe only in 4, I am not actually a Muslim. I have to believe in all 5. The first of them is called Shahada, or testimony of faith, to say there is only one God, Muhammad is the messenger of God. This is number 1. I testify that Allah is my God and He is one, and Muhammad is the messenger of God. Number 2, we have 5 daily prayers that we must pray each and every day. 5 daily prayers. In the early morning, noon, afternoon, sunset, evening. 5 salat. Number 3, zakat. Concept of zakat. Some people say zakat is like taxes that we pay now, but it's way much better than the taxes. Especially in Canada, we are paying lots of taxes. So the taxes, whatever you make, you pay taxes, and you pay it every year. For zakat, you have to pay 2.5% of your income to the poor if the money you have stays with you for 12 months. The money stays in your account for 12 months, you didn't touch it. Then the Muslim legislature, if you don't use $10,000 for 12 months, it means you are not in great need of that money. So it's better to give 2.5% to the poor and the needy who need that money. But if you have this money only for 12 or 11 months or 11 and a half months, or just 2-3 days less than 12 months, you don't have to pay 2.5% to the poor and the needy. So the concept of zakat, some people take it as taxes or alms giving that we must give. No. And we don't also give unless we reach a minimum threshold. It's not for all money. Nowadays, it's equal to 85 grams of pure gold. So it's about 7,000 Canadian dollars. If I have 7,000 Canadian dollars with me for 12 months, I didn't use them, then I give 2.5%. If I have only 6,900, I don't have to pay. So this is very important to know that Muslims have this pillar in Islam. It's called zakat, and it is fair and just. The wealthy is getting money and keeping it for the future, but they must take care of the poor and the needy also. Number 4, fasting. We fast 1 month a year, Ramadan, start from dawn time to dusk or the sunset, and we can fast optional days anywhere or anyhow in the year, but it's 1 month only for fasting. The last one, pilgrimage, to visit Mecca, the city that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born in, once in our lifetime, if we can. All these 5 pillars can be summarized in 1 or 2. The first one is to say, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. This is a must to be a Muslim. And number 2, to pray 5 times a day. Some people don't have money, so they don't have to pay zakat. Some people are sick or traveling, they can't fast, they don't fast. Some people don't have the money to travel to Mecca or physically unable, so they don't go. So actually, we can summarize the whole thing in 1, which is number 2, which is prayers. That's why you find Muslims put emphasis on the prayers every day. They must pray 5 times a day because the prayer is the main pillar and it contains all 5 pillars. The prayers, it contains all the 5 pillars in it. In the prayers, we testify that Allah is one, Muhammad is the messenger. In the prayers, we are praying. In the prayers, we are giving zakat. Zakat meaning I earn money, I give to the poor, and I sell my time to get money. In the prayers, I'm giving Allah from my time, the principle. So I am giving zakat. In the prayer, I have to face Mecca. If I don't, there is no prayers. So actually, that's why you see Muslims in the workplace, they are very careful with their prayers and they emphasize it and they need to pray and they need to find a spot. And you find employers and many people trying to accommodate Muslims because it is the most important one to pray 5 times a day. As faithful Muslims, we have 6 articles of faith. We believe in Allah, the merciful, the powerful. He is invisible. We cannot see him. He can see us. We believe in the angels. He created them and they are invisible. We can see them. They see us. We believe in the messengers and the scriptures that Allah sent to the messengers. We believe in the day of judgment. We live, then we die, then we come back and we will be judged according to what we did. And we believe in the decree of Allah. Whatever happens here was already pre-decreed by the Creator. He knows everything, but He gave me a free will. I have a free will to choose to be here today or not to be here, to be doing this or to be good or to be evil. According to my choice, He will hold me accountable on the day of judgment. These are articles of faith. We have 2 times of festivities during the year, 2 main times. We call them Eids. And the Eid, it means a time that comes a year after a year, and it keeps repeating itself. Eid, this is the word Eid. The first one after Ramadan, when we fast 1 month, we call it Eid al-Fitr. the Eid of breaking the fast. And then the second one, during pilgrimage time, we call it Eid al-Adha, the Eid of sacrifice, commemorating our father Ibrahim alayhi salam and his son Ismail alayhi salam. Then we come to the Canadian Islamic history. So, what do you think? When did Muslims come to Canada? Anyone has any idea? More than 100 years ago. Okay. Anyone else? Yes. The first Muslim came here from North America. He was actually a slave, and he came here, and he ended up in Ontario. And this was, you know, how long, or which year? Yes. You want to answer? Okay. Yes. 1854, 51, yes. This is the guy. The first Muslim in Canada. 1851, his name is Muhammad Bakwaka. He's a Muslim coming from West Africa, enslaved as a young man in Brazil and shipped to United States as a free man. He eventually made it to Chatham, Ontario, where in 1854, he found someone who helped him to document his life and to write a biography. So actually, we know that the Confederation of Canada started 18... This is a history question. If you don't pass it, you don't get citizenship. When did Canada become a country? 1867. Okay, 1867. So before the Confederation, we have Muslims in Canada. How long have Muslims been in Canada? According to the records, there were 4 Muslims in Canada in 1854. 4 Muslims. By 1871, the number grew to 13 Muslims. Then 47 in 1901. Then 478 in 1921. Then the earliest documented account of Canadian Muslims were James and Agnes Love, who immigrated from Scotland, settled in Ontario in 1854. They gave birth to the first Muslim born in the territory that was to become Canada, named James after his father. Their youngest son, Alexander, was born in 1868, 1 year after Confederation, and secured his spot in the history as the first recorded Muslim born in Canada as we know it today. So, Muslims are here even before the Confederation. Then we have some pioneers, Muslims and Arabs who came, and these are great examples. They come and they fight and they do the best, so they become great Canadians who help themselves and help the country. This is Ali Abu Shari. He is a Lebanese. He came, his uncle came from Lebanon 1905. He worked as a peddler and fur trader before opening a general store in Lac La Biche, Alberta. The first Muslim immigrants who came out west developed good relationships with the indigenous people. Abu Shadi, he married a Cree woman, indigenous woman, and he traded along with her in the Mackenzie River. So this was one of the pioneers. Another one, Peter Parker, he's also from Lebanon. His real name is Bedouin Farhan, but you know, he changed his name. Some of us, when they come through the immigration at that time, they wanted to assimilate. So he changed his name to Peter Parker, and he was known in Canada as Peter Parker, came in 1910, became a successful fur trader. Under the pressure from the Hudson Bay Company, the Interior Minister made it a law that they could not go into indigenous communities to trade, but he had to stay in cities. So he fought this, and eventually he became a politician in 1963. And I think he was the first Muslim Canadian politician in the government of Canada, this brother here, Peter Parker, in 1963. The first mosque in Canada is the Mosque of Al-Rashid. It was established in 1938. It actually started by Muslim sisters. Yes. Alaykum assalam, sister. MashaAllah. Yeah, do you know the year? Okay. Okay. That's good. So we can put it in the record, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair, Sister Nazira. May Allah bless you. So the first mosque is Al-Rashid Mosque. And it was built in 1938, established by Muslim women from Lebanon. They started collecting some money from neighborhoods, from Muslims, Christians, Jews, everybody, every faith participated in that mosque in 1938. $5,000 was a good amount of money to start that mosque in 1938. And then it became a hub for the sisters and the brothers. Every weekend, they have a bake sale and they come together and they sit and they never ask about which faith you belong to. It was everybody there. So this is the first mosque. 1914. Okay, that's good. The first Muslim in Ottawa. So we have another thing I will add. I will update my presentation. Jazakumullah khair. So this mosque now stays the same. It becomes a heritage. They build next to it Al-Rashid Mosque. It is a huge mosque. And it has a big Islamic academy now. And it serves lots of Muslims in Alberta. Then Muslims fighting for Canada. In the First World War, the record shows that 22 soldiers in the Canadian Army were Muslims. 22 Canadian soldiers who fought for Canada in the First World War are Muslims. And then over the years, the population continued to grow. So 645 Muslims recorded in 1931. Then after 1965, there was a boom that saw the population growing to 33,000 Muslims in 71. And then today, we have approximately 1.7, 1.8 million Muslims in Canada. And we are coming to the last segment here. This statistics also, it's a little bit old, but it actually tells you the main cities where Muslims stay. And the updated version is we have Toronto, number 1, and I think Montreal, number 2, and then Vancouver will be number 3. Nowadays, calculations, Toronto is about 1 million Muslims live in Toronto area. 1 million Muslims live in Toronto area out of 1.7. And then around 500, they live in Quebec and mainly in Montreal. And the rest is between Vancouver and Ottawa and other cities. But the main city that holds most of the Muslims is Toronto, Ontario, about 1 million. And comes next to it, Montreal, Quebec, and then Vancouver and Ottawa and other cities. Then the last one is about our own mosque here. So we have some history about our mosque. I see Mu'min, he said it started in 1970. It started way before that. Yeah, 62. The idea, and the next church here, the brothers and the sisters came in the 60s and they used to go and meet in that church. And then later, there were 2 houses here, came for sale. Then the brothers, they bought these houses and they started demolishing and started this mosque in the late 60s, but it was completed in the 1970. So we can say it is starting in the 62, but it was completed in the 70, and it becomes, we are fighting the second or the third mosque in Canada. London Mosque, they claim they came before us because they built the mosque before us, but we started as an institution before them and we build after them. So we are both fighting. Is it London Mosque or Ottawa Mosque? We say it's okay to be the second or the third, no problem. Yes. ما شاء الله. جزاكم الله خير, Sister Nazira. Barakallahu fikum. So, so this was the houses here in the place of the mosque. Yes. And then they started the constructions. This was the construction of the dome and finishing, and this is the minaret. So this is about the Ottawa Mosque. If you guys have any questions, I will be more than happy to answer. If not, then the brothers can take over, inshallah. وإياكم بارك الله فيكم جزاكم الله خير.
Thank you, Imam, for that wonderful presentation. I do want to just reflect on something that the Imam said, and he alluded to this as well in his presentation. And that is the third pillar of Islam, which he said is zakat, right? And I want to expand on that a little bit more because, traditional understanding states that the mosques are only for prayer. But mosques are actually community centers for Muslims, right? We have a zakat program here that has given out just under $300,000 of financial support to underprivileged Muslims in this city. We have regular programs related to social services. We have mental health courses. We have full-time counseling available. So this is not just a place to pray, but it's a place for community to come together and benefit. So like the Imam said, and like Auntie Nazira said, we have Mohammed Ghadban, who's been a part of this mosque since its construction. And we're very honored to have him here to actually officially give a tour of the mosque. And I can't think of anybody better to give this tour because he knows this mosque brick by brick. He knows its history in terms of, before the mosque was constructed, up until it was constructed, and then, everything that's happened since. The Ottawa Mosque, if you look above, is the only mosque with a dome. If you go outside, it's the only mosque with a minaret. You won't find this in Ottawa, and it's very rare that you'll find this anywhere else in Canada. So without further ado, Mohammed Ghadban, if you could please join us in giving that tour, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. I gave a mini tour to the Right Honourable Member from Parliament in Ottawa West. Yes, I have been coming to this mosque since I was about 10 years old, if not before then. What Sister Nazira talked about is correct. In the early 70s, my brother and a late sister, her daughter, were the first two children to put a shovel in the ground for this mosque. The young girl lost her mother in a car crash. My brother, we lost our father at a very young age of 47. I was only 15 years old at the time. So it just goes to show you the I would say the wealth of the families, how they stuck together and the community. We met the people from the church in the early 60s, mid-60s. We were looking for a place to pray at that time. We used to pray in our homes, from home to home. We'd move from one, but we never prayed on Friday. We used all to pray on Sunday. Figured that what was the normal. We see people going to church on Sunday. When we got our first imam, the late Tawfiq Shaheen, who basically corralled all the, as you'd say, his sheep. He was the shepherd, and to instruct and teach us that Friday is our day of prayer and not Sunday. And from that time on to this time forward to where we are now is where we come and congregate every Friday around the city, over 100,000 of us, for a day that we never knew back in the 60s that existed. So because of him, we are here. I gave, like I said, mini tour. The building was built in the mid-70s at a cost of $700,000. The addition you see to your right was a cost of $1 million. So, and you can see the arch right here, and you look at the window, that window used to be here. So when that was built, we were able to install a library, which we eventually moved downstairs to give us an office space and office for our administrator doing the regular work. The main hall, I would say about 1,000 people on a Friday would come and pray, upstairs, downstairs. And if we have overflow, we would send them to the Hall of Peace, which we purchased at church about 5 years ago. The church people did not want to sell it to a developer to level the building, and their heritage goes. And what perfect place to people ask is their past tenants. And we were able to purchase it, keep it, their heritage is intact. For me, it's a full circle. And from other brothers that were here at the time, they would say the same thing. So we use that overflow for on Friday prayers, Eid prayers, any type of function, whether weddings, meetings, for the students to get together, the high school students, the university students, so they can all meet there. The existing building here has a school, Sunday school, 3 schools on a Sunday. So it's in full use. Like the brother said, it's a community center for everybody. The doors are open. They're free to anybody to come in, ask any questions to our imam, to any of the board members, our president, our chairman of the trustees, wherever he is. I myself am a past president. They currently stuck me with the title of vice president. I wanted to take some time off, but probably just too valuable for them, so they say, we'll give you the title as vice president. So I'm basically in the background. We lost a member of the OMA just this past year, Dr. Farid Ahmed, who passed away at the age of 96. He lost his eyesight, but he recognized my voice. When he'd come in, and I sit him down in the back, and as soon as I start talking, he knew who I was. So we lost a lot of pioneers. I am a son of a pioneer, and my children now are slowly trying to take over. And I believe the other children also come and take over the masjid. We have our president, who's a third generation. His mother is part of the auxiliary here, and she's a volunteer, like all of us. We're all volunteers. If anybody wants a tour of the building itself, we have some volunteers. They'll give you a tour. Other than that, thank you again for coming on behalf of the OMA, Board of Directors, and the Council of Trustees. Please enjoy the visit, and inshallah, we'll do this again next year, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Brother Mohammed, for that little tidbit of history. So from now until 6, there will be a general open house. Like Brother Mohammed mentioned, there are volunteers here who can guide you through the mosque and give you a tour of some of its architecture and some of its history. We have stalls set up with some posters and some educational information about some contributions Muslims have made to society throughout history. We have food, lunch. I don't know how I forgot that to mention that earlier, but we have food downstairs, lunch and refreshments, coffee, water, anything you need. And yeah, so 3 to 6 p.m. We're here. There'll be volunteers around, and we're looking forward to interacting with you. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, the volunteer in the back also wanted me to mention that we have a bit of a game going on. If you go to the welcome desk, you can get a flyer for a Islamic History Month bingo. So you can complete certain tasks, you can fill out your name and enter for a draw to win a prize. So thank you.